Right, so episode 8.
Is that the one we never got round to?
Well, technically, this is going to be the one we never got round to, but it would have been episode 4, but now it's episode 8. So we skipped double ahead, which is perfectly fine. This is more of a fun episode. I like to call it eras and machines.
Machines. Oh.
Okay. So I thought the first question that I think would be quite a good one, considering I passed my test not too long ago. So there's been a lot of change over the eras when it comes to driving. So my question to you is, how was your driving test, and what car did you do it in, first of all?
My driving test? That was in Grays. And there was a bloke, one of the testers was a Rolls Royce driver. And he used to have to go for his...
Well, like personal driver?
No, that was a tester.
Oh, right.
And he used to drive Rolls Royces straight from Rolls Royce, and he used to take them out and take people for rides in them. And I got him, and everybody said, "Oh no, you can't have him because he picks holes in everything. He hardly ever passes anybody." And in Grays, there used to be the bus station on one side of the road. The offices for the testers was on the opposite side of the road, and then across the T-junction was a cafe. And all the trainers used to go in there and get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And my bloke said to me, he says, "If you're out about 20 minutes, he says, you're all right. If it's 25 or less, he says, then it's doubtful whether you've passed. And if he asks you 5 or less questions or 5 or more questions, then it's doubtful whether you've passed." And I was out a quarter of an hour. I got asked 4 questions, and he passed me first time.
There you go then.
And I took lessons over at Hornchurch on what they call a cardrome. It was part of the old Air Force base.
That's like where you go, they map out a little circuit, don't you?
Yeah,
you go
you've got roadways and you drive round them. And he used to get me to go over. I took driving lessons with him. 3 or 4 I took with him.
Did zebra crossings exist then?
On then they did, yes. Yeah, I'll tell you about that bit in a minute. And then that was in a 105 Anglia. And then when it come to me test, the morning of me test, he took me down to pick the car up. And he said, "We've either got a brand new car, a 105, which has got 4-speed gears and a reverse, or you can have your old car, which has got 3 gears and a reverse." And I said, "Well, I'll take the new one."
Yeah.
Which I shouldn't have done, because when we done the hill test, we'd done the hill start, the brakes were stuck on. And I said to the tester, I said, "Do you mind hitting the pedal?" I said, because he was dual control. I said, "Do you mind hitting the pedal?" I said, "Because the brakes are stuck." And he said, "You're driving the car, you do it." And
any power steering?
No.
What about in the newer one? Was there power steering?
No, there was no power steering on them then. And when we come to do, which you don't do, I don't think now, on the new test, you have to reverse round a corner.
No, I didn't. We didn't have to do that at all. They took that out.
And they used to open the door, and they used to look at the curb, and you had to be within a certain distance from the curb all the way around the corner.
Oh, right.
And you wasn't allowed to open your door. You just had to drive it on your mirrors. And
would they stiff you up with that corner? Would it be like a 90?
No.
Right, or would it be like a long, like outside our house? Was
mine
that
was
180?
a long one.
Yeah.
And there was a motorbike about 20 yards from the corner, I suppose. And I stopped before I got to it. And he said, "No, I want you to go round the motorcycle and carry on." I've done that, and we're coming back, and in Grace, what used to be Co-op, which was a big building, council offices now, and there's a zebra crossing there. You was asking about zebra crossing. There was one there, and at the time we didn't have to have seat belts. Manufacturers had to put seat belts points in the car, so you could put your own seat belts if you wanted them. And I stopped to let some people across the crossing, and just as I was about to pull away, a lady come running out the shop across the path and come running in front of me across the crossing. I hit the brakes and shot the tester right off the seat because he hadn't got a seatbelt on. But I still passed, so I enjoyed that.
Well, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. How many cars have you actually owned? And what's been your favourite?
I can't tell you how many cars I've had. I've had so many. Chris always used to say to me, your nanny always used to say to me, when you go to work in a car, I never know what car you're coming home with. Because I'd sell it at work and buy another one probably on the way home. So I should imagine I've had something like 30 different cars. And I think the one I liked, probably my first old van, because that was, you could do anything then, you know, big old black, a big body, 3 gears. The window screen you used to have so you could push it wide open, which was handy when it was foggy.
Yeah.
Because you could push the window screen out of the way and it was just like riding a push bike. And lighting was only 6 volts and not 12 volts. So it was like candles put on the wings.
Is that the one where you said that you could straight engine swap with a Porsche? No,
that was Volkswagen.
Right.
You could put a Porsche engine in a Volkswagen. It's, but I had everything. I suppose one of the quickest cars I had was a Zephyr 6, 6-cylinder, straight 6-cylinder engine.
Yeah.
And I wheel spun that for about 100 yards, changing gears, shooting out between traffic. And but I had them all. Front wheel drive, rear wheel drive.
All wheel drive?
Yes. Yeah, when I got the 4x4s.
Who actually taught you to drive then?
I went to driving school. And
was it a bit like the whole, you get like a, you know, now you get like a block of, you can do like the speed one where you do it in like a 2-week segment. You get a block of lessons.
No, you just book your lessons by the week.
Oh, okay.
You done one this week and then you book your next one for next week.
Got ya.
There wasn't any block bookings at the time. And you had to send off for your own test. You couldn't get a test like they're trying to stop now, where the driving schools
instructors buy them all up, don't they?
Buy them all up and then dish them out to the people they like the best, you know.
Yeah.
But you had to do all that yourself. But yeah, and the little 105 I had, I bought that from brand new, and it's they used to have 90 on the clock, and I bent with the speedometer needle, I bent the little stopper at 90. That was going something.
And then you didn't have to take a theory test either, did you?
No. All you had was the highway code, and I used to open the highway code up and say, "What does that sign mean?" and "What does this mean?"
And that's it. Yeah.
What do you think this means? And stuff like that. You know. You used to get points the same as you do now.
Yeah, like minors and majors. Yeah.
Yeah, you used to get them, but yeah. Well, we used to be able to get away with lots more than what you can get away with now.
So obviously you said your van was probably your favourite obviously,
Yeah, I think the thing is with that sort of thing is it's the first vehicle you have, you always like the best, no matter what it is. It could be an old banger, or it could be a Porsche or a Range Rover or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's your first car, you always think that's the best because you go out and you drive it yourself.
Because I was going to ask what car meant the most to you. So I take it it's the one that you first brought, like with your own money.
Yeah. Well, I actually bought 2 vans, and we stripped both of them to pieces. Me and my dad. I've done most of it, but my dad helped me. We stripped them apart and we made one good one out of 2. It was good. I had a wheel come off and went past me, and we thought, well, that looked like one of my wheels, and it was. I hadn't done the nuts up on it probably.
Well, it just went. What is it, like the there's that horror film where a tire just goes through America, just running people over. Is it similar to that then?
Yeah, I'd gone round a roundabout and I come out the other side of the roundabout, but the wheel was going straight on. And then all of a sudden it went plump and it dropped down at the back.
Did you just carry on driving off and go, "Oh, that's not mine. There's something to do with me," or did you go, "Whoa, I better go pick that up"?
It didn't drop straight away. The wheel come past, and my mate said, "There's a wheel just come past," and then the back end dropped. So I thought myself, "Well, must be one of mine then."
Very thinking, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with that. So, what's actually been your favourite memory in a car then?
Well, there's 2 really. With my old van, I went to Bristol with it. Took 2 of my mates up there with me because one of them I used to work in the garage with, and he had a Lambretta, and him and his mate, they went on holiday, and they finished up at a place called Churchill, which is, if you look at the map, it's just to the left-hand side of Bristol. And my mate's dad, he used to be the transport manager for British Road. It was in West Thurrock at the time. And he said, "Oh, my drivers take 2 days to go up there and back." And I went up there and back in just over 12 hours. And he said it couldn't be done, but I proved him wrong. And the other one was I had a Mark 1 GT Cortina. And I blew the engine up.
As you do.
Yeah. And my dad was working for Grandeurs at the time, and he got me an engine through Grandeurs.
What, a Cortina engine?
Cortina, yeah, GT. And I put that in, and my sister lived on the Isle of Sheppey, and I was going down to go over the Medway Bridge, and I only had 110. It was 110 on the clock, and I was right round that, and I see a pair of flashing lights behind me because it was dark, and I thought to myself, "Oh, coppers have picked me up for speeding. Oh, well, they can book me for 3 miles, just book me for a mile." And I just kept my foot down, and all of a sudden there was vroom, vroom, and 2 cars come past. There was an Aston Martin in the front with a DB5 going like the clappers, with an E-type Jag about a foot behind him. And they was racing one another, and they must have gone past me at somewhere around 130, something like that. You know? Made me sit as if I was standing still. And I looked down at the clock and I thought to myself, "Oh, I might as well take my foot off now." Yeah, that was 2 good ones, that was. But we used to have lots of fun. You can't have it now. Nowadays, we used to, something used to go wrong with a car. You'd come home and you'd repair it, and you'd go back out again that evening or something, you know, which you can't do now because you've got to have a computer to do most of it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask as well, obviously there's car meets now and people meet up and stuff, but it was nothing like back in the day. So what was the actual car scene like back in the day? Was there a lot of car meets and shows and things? Or
yeah, there was but it was people who they don't race along the fronts, they don't race along the road. It was a matter of doing your car and taking it and showing it to everybody else. It was you and your car. It wasn't oh well, I'll do donuts round and round here, where it can get dangerous nowadays because people don't know how to handle their cars. They're too powerful for them.
yeah,
They think they can do things, but we used to go to have a laugh and we used to enjoy ourselves. You'd have people that had bonnets open and all the engine would be chromed or something like that. It used to take them probably a year to chrome all the bits,
shine it up, and
because you didn't used to earn that amount of money, so it used to cost you a lot more money than what you had to do it. But we used to have car shows, and people used to meet up, and and then we went from cars to motorbikes, and we used to do exactly the same.
yeah,
It's, you used to have some good times then, but now they just seem to want to race one another or do donuts and Christ knows what else, which is dangerous.
yeah. Was you part of a car club?
No, I wasn't, but my dad was. My stepdad, he was. He used to help run one in Aveley behind one of the pubs, and we used to. That's when I hadn't got a driving licence then, and I used to go as his mat man, and we used to have things like you go from A to B, and when you get to B, it might be you've got to find a number of a door of a house, and there might be no houses around, so you've got to work out where it is, and that sort of thing, or how many feet is it from a set of traffic lights to an island or something like that, and it used to be things like that. But my dad, he used to go with his mate, and he had a Zephyr 6 Mark 1, and he skimmed the head and he put in high compression pistons, because he worked. They
weren't stock then.
No, it weren't stock. And they went to pick my sister up, and it was up north, and the Zephyr 6 burned off the police car. The police car couldn't keep up with them because it was souped up so much they couldn't keep up with it. But it used to be good. You'd go down there, have a few beers, and somebody would be nominated driver for each car.
Yeah.
And away they'd go. It used to be good.
You've learned how to drive, obviously with your dad and everything, and then did you actually teach anyone how to drive yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go with them all. Your nan, Chris, she was first.
Yep.
She was the first one I took out to teach her how to drive. Then Andy, and then Tony, your mum. When took them all out, and give them a little bit of knowledge. But I did say that all of them would have to go to driving school.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the examiners are looking for nowadays at that time, and it's you need to go to them just to make sure you've got the up-to-date information.
Yeah.
Like
what we done, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even though I was test ready, I still had a couple lessons with a instructor just in case.
Yeah. In case the examiners have put something in there that is different from what it was before.
Yeah.
Plus the fact you can get into bad habits once you pass your test, and if you don't watch it, you can pass them on to somebody else.
Any funny stories from teaching then how to drive?
Oh, we had lots. Two I'll tell you about, I suppose. One was we used to get seasons, so you knew exactly what was happening.
Mm.
And I had a little green minivan. I sold it. I sold the GT Cortina to put the money down on this house.
Yeah.
And I bought a little, well, your nan Chris bought it. It was a little green minivan that we moved everything in this place in. Double beds, double wardrobes, everything. I even went in it, over the top of it, tied down to roof racks. And she done a bit of driving in that. And she said to me, she says, it was snow and ice, and we was going past Whitmore's. And she said, what do I do? She said, if I get into a slide.
Yeah.
So I said, well, and I looked in the mirror, because I had a little mirror on the inside, and looked in there, there's nobody behind us, looked down the road, nothing in front of us. And I knew that my handbrake was only working, it was working better on one wheel than it was on the other one. So I whacked the handbrake on her. I said, you turn with it. I said, whichever way it goes, you turn with it. And she skidded along the road going like that. But and the other one was, I used to go over to one of my aunts in Gravesend, and to get to their house, you had to go up a hill, which was pretty steep. It was like a bread and cheese hill.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a roundabout on it. And of course, by then you were still having to give away, or you did started giving away to the right. And a car come round the roundabout, and she stalled it just as we was coming up to the roundabout, because the bloke, he sees she got L plates on and there was nothing else around.
Yeah.
So he stopped to wave her through so that she could carry straight on, but she stalled it. And I said, well, just knock it out, put the handbrake on, take it out of gear, start it up, do hill start, and you'll go, because this man's still sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's laughing his head off, actually, because we was arguing over. And then she got out and she said, that's it, I'm not driving no more. And I got out the other side and I said, well, I'm not moving it then. You know, I'll ask that bloke over there to move it. And eventually she got back in and she'd done the hill start and went round the roundabout, and the bloke was laughing his head off. I mean, you see, I reckon if we'd have got close enough, you'd have been able to see the tears rolling down his cheeks, you know. But yeah, different people I've shown to drive, you know. It's, but that's two that really stick in your mind, you know.
With obviously you taught Mum and Andy how to drive. Who was it is going to cause a bit of tension, but who was the better of the two when you was teaching them?
Well, I'll go for Andy. He was the better one out of the
What,
two.
because he was safer, or?
No, because he wanted to drive like I did. Quickly.
So Andy was the better of the two with teaching because he wanted to drive fast, not actually because he was a better driver.
Well, he was a better driver because he had to be, because he wanted to drive quick. And to drive quick, you've got to be better at whatever you do.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know?
A little bit more better control over the car, etc.
Yeah.
But you also touched on earlier that you went with motorbikes. What was your favourite bike that you owned?
Funny thing was it was a little small one. Well, it wasn't that small. It was a 250. But Mum and Dad wouldn't let me have a motorbike. So I waited till they went on holiday. And then I went out and bought one. And I got it home and they'd gone for a fortnight, and I'd gone out the first day, they'd gone on holiday, and I bought this bike, and I brought it home, and I stripped it down, and it had aluminium wheels. The worst bit was it had aluminium brake drums as well, but he weren't meant to go that quick. But
What cc was it?
250, 250. But I put on aerial expansion exhaust pipes on it instead of having. It was a cotton 250, and it had a Vilius 4T engine in it, and I blew the engine up on the on the Wednesday before I was going to the Isle of Man with it, and I had to find somebody who'd get me an engine, and it was Oliver's of Tottenham, and he got me an engine, and I put it in. I was on L plates and riding it on a motorway with L plates up, with no L plates on actually.
Yeah.
And I run it in. My mate come alongside me, and he said, he says, do you realise what speed you're doing? I said, no. So he says, you're doing 60. He says, and that's a brand new engine. I said, yeah, but it sounds all right, doesn't it? So we carried on doing it. And I had that. It only had a 90 mile an hour speedometer on it. And I went on the island, and that was in the 60s, and went round it, and one of the racers was actually in the bed and breakfast that I was in, and he said to me, he says, that sounds good. He says, what you done to it? So I told him. He says, so he said, have you tried it for speed? I said, nah. So I'm still running it in. He says, that's all right. He says, just open the throttle and forget to shut it. He said, it'll be all right. And I overtook a Marshall's car, and that got 110 mile an hour on the clock, and I passed him, so I was doing over 110 on it.
Yeah.
And it didn't seize up, so I was all right.
Could you had your, when you was riding your bike, you had your crash. Could you talk us through that crash?
Well, I wasn't actually on my bike. What you mean, when I lost my kneecap? No, I wasn't on my bike at the time. I got rid of the little one, and I had a 500 Triumph with a split engine and gearbox, and I wanted a piston. We'd found that the piston had got a hole in it, and I come down to Grays, and coming back towards Aveley, which has now got the big roundabout at not Daynold's roundabout, it's the next one down, as if you're going towards Lakeside, the big one. And coming towards us was a milk float, and an architect from Grays, he come round the outside the milk float on a blind bend. He couldn't see round the bend, and he come round the bend, and my mate, he was braking really hard, and I thought, what's he braking that hard for? We were in a bend.
Yeah.
And I looked over his shoulder, and all I could see was this Morris 1000 in front of us. And we finished up ripping the front wing right off it completely. And I held onto the seat, and my knee hit a lamppost, and that shattered the kneecap into, well, the nurse, the sister that was on at the time, she said, she says, looking at the x-ray, she says, that looks like a rose, she says, with all the petals all split open from the middle, you know. And they took us, that's after we got to Dorset Hospital, and my mate had taken the bone out on the bottom half of his leg. There's about 4 inches of bone missing out of his tib and fib. and he was virtually gone. He was virtually a goner. He'd lost so much blood by the time we got to hospital.
Yeah.
He couldn't give him his name and address.
Did he survive?
Yeah, yeah. But it caused him to have diabetes.
Right.
And he died from, must have been about 10 years after, I suppose, 8 or 10 years afterwards. He died from a disease caused by the diabetes.
All right.
But in one sense, he was lucky because he was in the RAF and they took him from Allsett Hospital down to the RAF's rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And
So he got the best treatment going.
Yeah. Yeah. And they finished up by cutting underneath the muscle here. And then they trimmed off the dead skin on his other leg, on the leg that it, and then they put the two of them together and bandaged them together because they couldn't get a skin graft that would grow big enough to put it over. And it was one of the things they used to do to the pilots during the war when they couldn't get enough skin, and then they cut either side of the good leg. They cut down so that the skin would come off, and then they folded the skin over and then sewed it together. And he lived like that for a long time. But that was.
So did he lose? You said there was a piece of bone. Did he lose that forever then, or did they put like a stent?
No, they put artificial in there to start with, and then they took it out after the bones had grown together. It was quite a big gap, but it did grow together. It was shorter than what the other one was, but it was, they worked on him. And
yeah, they didn't have to take part of his leg off or anything.
No. But you have accidents, and touch wood, you normally get over them,
Yeah.
It's I busted my collarbone, a few bruised ribs, no kneecap.
It's probably been through the war.
Well, that's what motorcycling is.
So then, obviously, after you've had your operation to fix your knee, how's the recovery?
Didn't quite get fixed. It didn't quite get fixed because when it was done, they opened the knee up round the side. It's 18 inches of scar, but it's 2 9-inch, one on top of the other. Because the first one, they cut it open, and according to the plasterer, who I knew that he lived across the road from where I lived, and he said they just laid my leg on the side, pulled the flap of skin back, and got a brush and just brushed all the pieces out, he reckoned. And then they put it back and they sewed it up. But I couldn't straighten my leg anymore. That was the maximum I could straighten it, which is probably 5%, I suppose, from being straight. Because the muscle here had got torn right by the kneecap. It got torn. And when they put it in plaster, my leg was out straight, and the muscle actually stuck to the bone.
Oh, what?
And nobody knew anything about it. And they used to give me electric shocks, like you see on the pictures where the people that were insane, and they used to put the 2 pads on them and give them a shock. Well, they used to do that with my leg. They used to
try and get the nerve working.
The muscle.
Oh, right.
The muscle to work.
Yeah.
And
to try and get it to react and tense up, sort of thing.
Yeah, and then eventually an American doctor come over to Allsett, because the doctor that I had that done the first one, he had a heart attack after he'd finished me. I don't know whether I gave it to him or what.
He saw your knee and he gave him one.
And the American, he done it according to, he had the notes on my chest. He said when he come round and he was talking to me, he said, I had your notes from the other doctor on your chest. He said, and I was just doing it according to what he done.
Yeah.
He said, and when I run my finger down, he says, I couldn't get it to go right down. He said, and then we realised what it was. And they bent it. They bent it to not quite 90. And it was like a bow. There was a cut with a brace across it. And I had to put my leg in it every night and take it out during the day to do the exercises and everything. But night time, it had to be in this to keep it bent. Well, that's probably bizarre. Yeah, so, yeah, it works pretty well, but getting older, all the bones stop working.
So was you scared then to get back on a bike after
Nah.
that? You wasn't like nervous or
Nah.
anxious around it?
Never did never backed out of anything. I was learning to swim. Lay swimming pool at over near Fords. Went there with my mates, couldn't swim, and they threw me in the 17 foot. I said, swim to the other side or you can't get out. You know, it's, you know, things like that. And I actually rode when my leg was stiff. I used to walk with crutches, and I walked, I don't know, I suppose it'd be about 7 or 8 miles with crutches, just to keep myself going, you know. And it's everything still worked. And my mate said we used to congregate at the motorbike club. We used to congregate up at the top house in Aveley. We used to go right up the corner by the library. They built a new library over the back, and we used to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And my mate, he'd got a Honda 125. And of course, with the British bikes, your gear lever's on the right. And with the Honda, it was on the left. So what did I do? Rode the motorbike using the front brake and changing gear with the other foot. And my leg was out alongside it.
Your leg was like a sidecar.
Yeah, and one of the ways that it got bent, the actual leg got bent, was one of the boys. He'd got a Norton 99, and I went with him and we bought it from Hornchurch, and the oil pressure relief valve was just leaking, and we got the bloke knocked down. We halved the price of it, and then we rode it home. And he used to take me out on the back of it, and to get the rear sets on for him to ride it, because we used to have clip-on handlebars, rear sets, turn the gear lever and the brake round the other way so that they'd work. And then the rest used to go up about that much higher than what they was on the original one.
Mm-hmm.
And to get the person who was sitting on the back to have footrests for them, we put 2 bolts through the suspension on the back with long wing pieces on it. And we changed them for Triumph ones in the end that would fold up. But I used to hook the heel of my boot. That's the only piece that I could get on the pedal, because my leg wasn't bent properly.
Yeah. And
we used to go out, and I used to go with him, and I used to have 2 crutches pointing up in the air, because I still had to walk with the crutches. And each time we hit a bump, every time it pushed the suspension up, that would get the heel, and it would bend my leg a bit more.
Bend your leg a bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's, so he done it for, you know, helped me out there. Yeah, it's a good time.
Are there any roads / trips that you want to do before you go? I don't want to go abroad. No.
to me, there's enough places in this country that you can go to that I've never seen, never been to, and it wouldn't worry me where I went. So, you know, anywhere I want to go. If I go to somewhere, I'll talk to all the people and get involved with that area. Yeah, I don't have to want to go to somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, to me, like go to Rainham, say, you know, it's only just down the road, and what's it, 12 mile? Yeah, about 12 mile down the road. But that would do me, because I talk to the people, you know, perhaps they go, cool, what the bloody hell's the matter with him, you know?
What about Scotland?
That was one place I wanted to go to, but me and your nan, we never got round to getting there. Because what I wanted to do was to go up one side and spend like a week and a half going up one side, then stay in the middle of Scotland with all the lakes and everything, you know, and then come back down the opposite side, take the same time coming down the other side, so that we could talk to people, you know. And it's, but we never got round to that.
Well, I mean, we can always take the podcast on tour and then speak to the Scots. That might be some interesting episodes, that one, I think. Especially the way that they're like. But I think this is an interesting one. But what's been your favourite era to be alive in?
I would say probably when I had my motorbikes.
So what, the 70s, 60s?
That'd been 60s, mid 60s, around that time. Yeah, because you used to be able to do things that you can't do now. You know, we used to be able to strip our cars to pieces, put them back together again. Other people would come round, oh, what are you doing, Clive? You know, well, I've got to do these brake linings, you know, they're getting down there. And everybody would join in. But nowadays, people don't, because cars and motorbikes, especially motorbikes, but cars, you can do certain things to them, but most motorbikes nowadays, you can't do anything with them unless you get a vintage one or something like that.
Yeah, it's got to be like from 2010s before sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and people used to enjoy themselves a lot more, you know, like when I was younger, we used to have bonfires. We used to have 3 bonfires where I lived in Aveley. There was one of ours on the allotments. They were at the top of our row of houses. Then the allotments that were over the back, they used to build a bonfire. And then there used to be another one that come on that was up towards Aveley football ground. And a couple of times, firemen come round and pulled them down because they was too big, you know. But all 3 bonfires, my dad used to play the guitar, his mate used to play drums, and one of the other ladies used to play tambourine, and they all sung, and it was all like country and western type music, you know, because that's what my dad was into, was country and western. But after all the bonfires and the fireworks had all gone off, everybody used to come over to our bonfire. We used to have potatoes and beer, and what used to happen was the women, because nobody ever had much money, didn't have a lot of money, the women used to save up a little bit each week, and then they would make cakes and sandwiches, and the blokes would save up a little bit in their pots, and they would buy normally cider because it was cheaper to buy cider, and you could get a lot of it for a little amount of money, and everybody used to join in then, you know. It's but you can't even do that now. You know, it's usually go around a farmer's field and one person used to go up the tree and a couple of others would be chopping it down at the bottom, and we'd be swinging on the top of it to make it come down quick. And then the farmer used to drive around the field in his car, And we used to wait for him to go past, and then we'd do a run with a tree under it. But that was, you could do those things, but people now just seems to be, get on your games and that, and it's, it doesn't really, to me, that doesn't seem as if it's worth it. Sometimes you can play with a mate that's living somewhere else, and you play games or war games or anything like that, But we used to go out and we used to have an enjoyment in ourselves, It's yeah.
Then the final question I have is, would you say life has become more or less fun?
I don't know. It's all according to how you look at it. Because when you're younger, you make your own fun.
Mm-hmm.
When you get older, you don't make the things that you used to do when you was younger because your life's moved on.
Yeah, you're a little bit more limited.
Things,
yeah.
And like when I was youngster, we used to go and play on bomb sites and stuff like that, And who's I was talking to the other day? Oh, Sue Price. And was saying that I used to go down the ditch at Raynham. And I was, 8? Something like that. We'd go down the ditch at Raynham where the firing range was, because you used to go from Raynham right through to Purfleet, right the way down the side of the railway line. Used to be all rifles, machine guns, rocket launchers, grenades, and the occasional tank would come down there, and they'd use it because it's complete army rifle range. And we used to go down, and the people that were firing rifles used to have to fire 20 shots. And what they used to do was they'd collect up any shell that the other people used to throw away. And they'd go up to the sergeant and they'd go, "Our Sarge, 20 shells, we're finished." But they probably only fired about 2.
Yeah.
But all the live ones they'd thrown in the ditch. So we used to go along and pick them all up. Then we go up to the sergeant and we go, "Yeah, Sarge, what do you give us for these?" And we're walking around with live bloody bullets in our hand, So, yeah, but nowadays you get round to, it's like the grandchildren like yourself, you have a talk to them and you take pieces from their lives and think to yourself, would I have done that in my time, But it's totally different.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. Like cinemas, we used to go every Friday night. You would find there was 3 cinemas in Grace. On a Friday night, everybody would be packed in there on a Friday night. Nowadays, when you go to the pictures, how many people do you see in there?
It's maybe opening weekend and that's about it. That's packed,
So it's a totally different life. To me, the amount of time I've lived, then I would rather go back to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because it was more family orientated than what it is now. Like when you go out with your girl and you meet up with a couple of your other mates, it's just that little group where when we used to go out, we'd go knocking on somebody's house and we'd probably pile in their house and we'd be in there until we got thrown out.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, But nowadays they don't seem to do that. You've got to go somewhere. You've got to do something. But with us, it didn't matter. You didn't worry about whether you wanted to do it or not. After a while, all of you going out there, you used to join in, and that used to be it.
Yeah, just all go together and as a collective.
It's like parties. It's not many parties. I've been here 55 years, something like that now. And I suppose when I first was married to your nan's, to Chris, we used to have parties, and you used to have parties round, and you can see them all dropping off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you get one or two at a time. You know, maybe.
I think I'm the only one that's actually really held parties around this area.
No, you know, across the road, they've had a few parties. You know, but when we was, you know, all the kids would go there, and then parents would come to find you where you gone.
Yeah, house parties have died off.
Yeah,
big time. Yeah,
and it's just now. It's well, as I say, that's just me. You know, I would rather be back in that time because you made your own entertainment. You didn't have to be entertained.
yeah.
But nowadays, it seems to me that everybody has got to be entertained. You know, it's even like your iPads and stuff like that. You know, you are being entertained by that what's there.
Yeah, by someone or something.
But because we never used to have that, we used to have to make our own. You know, and it used to be when I was even when I was courting Chris, I had a little green, as I say, I had that little green minivan, and we put another engine in it because she bought it from she was working, your name was working in Grandeurs at the time, and I sold my car and I had no vehicle to go to work with, and this bloke said, "Oh, I've got a little green minivan if you want one." He says, "The engine's a bit iffy," he says, and my dad was working for Grandeurs as well, so we whipped the engine out in his garage at Blackshots Lane. We whipped the engine out of there, stripped it down, and he got the block board out, crankshaft ground, head skimmed. We put it all back together, and I'd got another engine as well, 2 engines again, and we stripped off the pieces that were better on the spare engine than what they was on the good engine, and we put that in there. And 3 years after we got into here, we went on honeymoon, but we took Chris's brother with us.
Yeah,
Mick, we took him with us, and I went down and I drove it for a fortnight all round Cornwall with oil going on the clutch, and the clutch was slipping. So when you got to big hills, you got, half the time you only just about got up them. You know, I'd have to go down through the gearbox, and But we come home, we stripped it down, took it out, and I realised what I'd done was the engine I'd put the flywheel on, it should have had an oil seal in it because it was an earlier one than the engine, and the engine never had an oil seal in it. So I just put an oil seal in there, bunged it back together, and we carried on using it. Yeah.
Well, we'll call that one there for today. There's more that I'll touch on in another episode and developing, but I'm overheating from the fire. So, and I think the phones are also overheating, so that's also a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, any questions that people have for Grandad and myself, please leave down in the comments. And as I said, they will be answered in future episodes, as well as a nice little shout out.
Yeah.
He's more than happy to answer any question you have, within reason maybe.
Yeah.
I'll still try and find a way to ask them. But yeah,